您正在收看公共电视。
This is the age of plastic.
Plastics is an integral part of the enormous developments that took place in the 20th century.
It's like nuclear waste. The stuff just doesn't go away.
I think plastic is a fabulous material that can do all kinds of things, from heart valves to plastic bags to bottles.
It's beautiful. You know, you can buy everything you can find for almost everything in plastic. And you say, oh, this is nice.
We've got to be pretty clever about the way we use it. We simply can't afford to throw away any of this material.
You can design plastics to be adhesive, to be degradable, to release drugs, to grow cells on.
Plastic is being thrown away, and the biggest problem is there is no way.
And then I take some and I eat it.
The biggest myth about plastic is that it's disposable. The truth is, virtually no organism on Earth can degrade plastic. And that means every piece that's ever been made, except for a small amount that's been incinerated, still exists.
We're headed out to the North Pacific Central Gyre, the Eastern Garbage Patch, as it's called.
For the past 7 years, Captain Charles Moore has been hunting for plastic in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. His sampling area is 1,000 miles from the U.S. mainland, in the center of a thing approximately the size of Western Europe, called a gyre.
There are 5 gyres in the world: North and South Atlantic, North and South Pacific, and the Indian Ocean. These high-pressure gyres are created by weather systems where atmosphere actually builds up in like a mountain, and that heavier weight of atmosphere pushes down on the ocean surface and actually creates a depression near the center, so that you have a kind of a toilet bowl effect where you have swirling water bringing debris into this central area, which has a bit of downwelling, causes an accumulation zone.
And it didn't take long to start to spot large plastic pieces.
Bucket lid.
What you see is a plastic bottle. This is easily 4,000 miles from the Asian coast.
This is the new designer light switch cover from the Gyre. Gyre-style light switch cover. We don't shop anymore, you know. All we do is wait for things to float by.
They were pulling out nets, bottles, buckets, fishing floats, a fluorescent light tube, a paint roller, plastic wrapping, all kinds of crap. Most people imagine a floating landfill out here, but it's not that. It's a chunk here, a piece there. But when you do it for an hour and realize just how small the section is you're able to search, and the fact that only half of all plastics float, you begin to get a sense of just how much plastic must be out here.
The amounts that we find of debris have to be multiplied by the millions to get any kind of an idea of what's actually out there.
How serious does the plastic industry take this problem of ocean debris?
Well, it's a huge problem, and we take it very, very seriously. I firmly believe that it has to do with education. It has to do with getting them to see that their behavior is resulting in these dead albatrosses. Their behavior is resulting in this ugly beach that I don't want to go to. Their behavior is, and that comes in our stuff. You know, it comes from our families, it comes from our schools, it comes from our churches, it comes from everywhere where we can be exposed to the idea that we can't be a pig.
While a lot of debris does come from the fishing industry, 80% actually originates from land, gets in our gutters, blows in our rivers, and eventually reaches the ocean. But not everything could be scooped up in their nets. When the crew went swimming, or every time one looked over the side, small plastic bits like confetti filled the water. Sunlight and waves break up plastic, but only into smaller bits. Bits that remain plastic. Captain Moore had a device called a mantitrawl, which could collect these smaller pieces. And when he emptied the trawl into jars, it was clear why Charlie called the ocean a plastic soup. Some plastic can resemble food for marine life, like these small red chunks that resemble shrimp, or little pellets that look like fish eggs.
These are the things that all plastic objects starts their life as one of these nurdles, or pellets, or plastic resin beads.
This is Nellie the Nurdle. She, like the rest of her family, are resin beads. They're the building blocks for plastic, the DNA of bottles, bags, and bumpers. The nurdles are vacuum hosed into rail cars and shipped to plastic factories. At this point in their life cycle, nurdles have the potential to become anything.
What are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be part of a computer. I'm gonna be a lunchbox. I'm gonna be a fire engine.
I'm gonna be part of a guitar.
I'm gonna be a race car.
I'm gonna be a cell phone.
Sadly, Ned won't have the chance.
Oh no, Ned! Ned!
Nellie! Nellie! Nellie!
We're going to use this to calculate the ratio of plastic to plankton by weight, which is the way that we compare the available food to the amount of plastic that's in the sample. In this one, I think we're going to find that the ratio is greater than 10 to 1 of plastic to plankton.
10 times more plastic than naturally occurring food. Disgusting. How could they come here, to one of the most remote places on the planet, and find more plastic than organisms? How did all this plastic get out here? Well, turns out it was 100 years in the making. In the late 1800s and early 20th century, a variety of plastics, many of which we still use today, were developed to address the depletion of natural resource stocks. Chemists were looking for alternatives to ivory, horn, shellac, rubber, cork, silk, and many other natural materials that were becoming scarce. They discovered how to transform the byproducts of oil and coal into a synthetic material that could be shaped into objects, films, coatings, textiles, adhesives, and that malleability is what makes plastic.
Plastic!
Plastic! Plastic! Plastic, man, come on!
Plastic!
So, what's it known for? It's known for its durability, it's acid resistant. So every particular application is made, tailor-made for that particular application.
World War II increased the demand for plastics around the world, bringing these early materials into mainstream production.
That productivity, which had to be high to supply all the war needs, then when the war ended, needed to have a civilian outlet to keep those factories in business.
Post-war, Buicks replaced tanks on assembly lines, and plastic output was aimed at the optimistic post-war consumer, who didn't want to conserve and ration anymore and was happy to buy into a lifestyle being sold to them. Variety, leisure time, freedom from drudgery, consumption, disposability. A stream of colorful and inexpensive plastic items were pouring into the new suburban home.
Hear that? That's Tupperware's airtight promise to lock in flavor and lock out air.
They rushed to market with it. So, there would be somebody who rushed to market with pink flamingos or with a hula hoop.
Animal, vegetable, and mineral. I hadn't thought of that before. Maybe this little thimble belongs to a kingdom all of its own. The fourth kingdom, the kingdom of plastics.
In 1955, Life magazine published an article called Throwaway Living, and it had a picture of a nuclear family, the mother, the father, and the child. The thesis of the article was if we just use once and toss, Mom won't have to clean up the dishes, she can be liberated to have a more fulfilling life, to work with the kids, to be with Dad.
The plastics of today are not the plastics of your grandfather.
With connotations of the fake and the inauthentic, plastic became a rallying cry for a generation fed up with what they saw as a culture of artifice. But it didn't stop people from buying it up in droves. From PVC-coated diapers to polyester clothing, styrofoam burger containers, plastic was known as cheap and disposable, and so quickly it became invisible. By 1979 in the US, they were making more plastic than steel.
公视实话周，对你说实话。生活中有哪些石化产品带来哪些塑化毒素？我们的岛今晚跟你说实话特别节目，以福尔摩沙为名的企业集团留给台湾土地的伤痛有多少？记录观点，福尔摩沙对福尔摩沙纪录片。台湾需要石化业吗？石化未来该怎么走？独立特派员。彰化、云林、高雄现场开讲，实际了解跟石化业毗邻而居的甘苦。有话好说，南部开讲，帮台湾石化业做个总体检，最专业分析，最在地观点。公视晚间新闻，面对石化，你需要的是实话。10月10号到18号，请锁定公视频道。
Nighttime is when the gyre comes to life. Every evening, one of the largest migrations of life on Earth occurs, as jellyfish and planktonic organisms rise from the depths to feed. And because they filter about half the water column through their bodies every single day, they are excellent indicators of plastic ingestion. So plastic gets into the ocean and is mistaken for food. It's tough and hard to digest, but it gets worse. By its nature, plastic accumulates oily pollutants like pesticides and herbicides that flow downstream from farms. And that can't be good news for Ned.
Oh, man.
Nurdles tend to attract pollutants in the water.
Hey, you don't look so good, Ned.
10% of ocean plastic is made up of nurdles.